Hi, everybody. It's Marnie Martin with Vista Wine Group, and you're watching the BC Wine Show, where I interview some of BC's most successful winemakers and industry pros as to how and why they do what they do and what they're up to next. So pour yourself a glass, and we'll see you on the inside. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the BC Wine Show. I'm Marnie Martin with Vista Wine Group, and today our guest is Rose from the beautiful Kelowna, BC area from House of Rose. Welcome, Aura, and how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's a beautiful day out here, 20 degrees today. My daffodils and tulips are in bloom.
Yeah, pretty amazing weather we've had this BC last
Yeah,
couple of months. Yeah.
always just amazing to live in BC and talk to people in other parts of Canada that are still in winter.
Yes, yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. So I know you guys have been in business for about 25 years or more than 25 years. And I think a lot of the people that are going to be watching this don't really know how you guys got started. And I know there's a family component too. So maybe give us a little bit of history and background as to how the winery came to be and what the significance of the name is.
Okay, so my dad actually started the winery in 1993. We're celebrating 27 years this year.
Wow.
He was a retired teacher. He bought a vineyard in his retirement when he retired early at the age of 55, and then decided to open a winery because he just loved making wine. And so he opened the winery and he kept it small. He was only producing about 500 or 600 cases on an annual basis in his time. And my husband and I bought it from him 11 years ago. He was in his early 80s by then, and ready to retire. And so we bought it from him. What many people don't realize is I did not, I didn't um, um, know very much of wine business when we bought it, but we were both quite passionate about wine and drinking wine. And so we thought that that would be a good complement to owning a winery. And it's been fun. We've had a good time. And so the name, the significance of the name is that is my last name, was my dad's last name. That's where it comes from, Rose. Playing on, I guess you would say, the French chateau or those kinds of things, or maison. Um, so that's where the name comes from. I didn't change my name when I got married. Or Rose is a really nice flowing name. Or a Vanderhall. My husband is Dutch. Not so much.
I like that. So how much land do you guys have up there? And is it all grown right on the property, or do you have other places where you grow grapes?
We have just about 7 acres of land. So between the winery and our residence and stuff, we have about 5 acres planted in grapes. Here we grow only Chardonnay, Riesling, Pinot Gris, and a grape called Verdelais, which is a French-American hybrid. Very close to us, I can see both vineyards that we from. So basically, our entire terroir is here in the East Kelowna area. We buy Marshall Foch from a local grower and Pinot Gris from another grower right here. Literally, like as I say, I can see both vineyards out my window.
That's amazing. How great is that? So you have these great wines with really cheeky names. You've got Hot Flash and Cool Splash. So tell me, what's the story behind that? Because I know a lot of people see those on the shelf and they think there's got to be a story behind that. So tell us how that came to be.
Well, my husband and I like marketing, and we enjoy a bit of, I guess, dry, sassy humor at times. And we were also trying to figure out a way to get into the market in a different way than many wineries do.
Yeah.
And so we were talking a lot of friends. And one time, about 2 years into our ownership of the winery, we had a dinner party with about 8 of our good friends. And we got quite drunk, all of us. And one of our friends was starting into menopause. And she was taking off her sweater and putting on her sweater, taking off her sweater and putting on her sweater. And at some point, we started teasing her. And she said to us, you should have a wine called Hot Flash for women like me.
Yeah.
And we laughed and laughed, and that was the end of the conversation. We woke up the next morning and we kind of went to each other. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
So we did a focus group. We did a focus group with almost 100 women between the ages of 21 was the youngest, and my aunt, who at the time I believe was 80, was the oldest. Her and her little group of friends. And we had different designs made for the label. We had different blends made for the wine, and we came together, and the feedback was they all loved the idea. And so that's sort of how it started. It started with the Hot Flash label.
That's great. That's a great story. And I'm sure that a lot of, including myself, we can relate to that. Although I do always tell people that it doesn't give you hot flashes. It's an important distinction. So the other thing
it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is sustainability, because I know that's really important to you in the way that you actually practice growing the grapes and making the wine. So tell us a little bit about the practices that you have put in place there, because I know that's really important.
Okay, so the practices that we put in place come from my previous work. So prior to purchasing the winery, I was a consultant in healthcare, and I specialized in helping hospitals reduce their environmental footprint. And so they look at 4 different areas when they do that. They look at their energy use, they look at their waste, they look at the toxins that they use in the environment, they look at the overall sort of sounds kind of funny, but it's like an overall perspective of how you look at your operations as a whole, your supply chain, those kinds of things. Right. So we took the same tact with our own winery. When we bought the property, we immediately took organic, which was hard on my father because he didn't believe in any of that stuff. He was an old-time farmer, originally from Saskatchewan. So organic, and then we looked at organic uses also in the winery, organic cleaners, those kinds of things to reduce toxic load into the environment. We looked at ways to reduce our water use, and we did a big energy upgrade. We reduced our energy use in the winery by almost 50% by doing an upgrade in the building. Put in a heat pump rather than using electricity. Where we are, we don't even have gas up here, just electricity. And then we looked at our supply chain. So we started buying what's called eco bottles. If you are in a store and you pick up a couple of different wine bottles, some of them feel really heavy and some of them feel a lot lighter. And wineries that choose to go with the heavy bottles, trying to, build into the image of this is a full-bodied, heavy, really heavy red wine, for example. And that's okay. But what it means is both in shipping and in production, you're using way more resources than you need to. Eco bottles use about 30% less glass than a regular bottle does. So think about the resources required to get that extra glass.
Yeah.
Plus, they the shipping, the amount that when you have a heavier thing to ship, you use a lot more resources to ship. So we looked at every part of the organization on a, every year looking at different things. And we were really proud. In 2014, we actually won the City of Kelowna Environmental Award for business for best environmental business.
That's awesome. That's really great. And I mean, I did know that, but you also use ladybugs. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of organic farming, right? So in organic farming, part of it is to use native insects to eat things like aphids or leafhoppers. Leafhoppers are really bad can be really bad in the wine industry because they eat the leaves. So so you use lacewings to eat the leafhoppers. You use ladybirds to eat aphids. Just like a lot of people who have roses will buy aphids, will buy ladybugs to eat the aphids. We do the same thing. And we actually have planted roses in a couple of different parts of our vineyard because roses give the first indication of an aphid problem. Aphids are very attracted to roses. And so if you see aphids in your roses, you're likely going to see aphids elsewhere on your property.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I think that's kind of a brilliant way to keep the problem from getting too far gone, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Awesome. So, I mean, you guys have got some great things going on up at the winery. I know you have some great events going on. So what can somebody expect if they've never been up to House of Rose? If they drive into the driveway, what can they expect to find up at the winery?
So we're very quaint. We're very much farm-based. Our wine shop is a refurbished pickers cap, so it's tiny, 700 square feet. And we want to keep it that for all of it. We are not spending, not just spending, but we don't want to be a really big fancy wine. We want to be a family, home-based, farm-based. It's very important to us to show that this is part of our farming, a farm-based winery. So you will see a very quaint little wine shop. You'll see a beautiful picnic area full of roses. We have over 200 roses on the property, including a couple of metal roses, one of which is over 20 feet high, big metal rose made for us by a local metal artist. And a great big lovely picnic area where people can bring their own picnic and buy a bottle of our wine and have a lovely glass of wine.
Nice. And you have lots of live music events there too as well, right?
Yes, we have live music also on Thursday evenings, every Thursday. And starting this year, we're also adding about 5 Sunday afternoons as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they're free. People come and again bring their own picnics. We have a food truck at the events and have a glass of wine, have a bottle of wine, whatever they'd like.
Yeah, well, music and wine goes very well together, so that's a perfect complement, especially for your space because it's beautiful up there. So you guys probably have had to make a few changes in this last little while because of all this craziness that we're dealing with in the world. So what are you doing to sort of cope with that, and how are you helping consumers still have access to your product?
So one of the things that's important to know for all wineries is we're not allowed at this point in time to do any tastings. So we still have people coming up expecting to be able to do tastings. We are open, but more limited hours than we normally would be at this time of year. But wineries have been mandated from a health perspective not to be able to do tastings. So we are open for purchases, but what we're doing is we're offering free shipping across Canada on a case of wine or more. We're offering free delivery in our local area, obviously. And then we also have this new offer on right now for if you wanted to don't want to buy wine right now, but you know that you're going to either come to us or buy wine from us, that you can buy gift certificates. You can buy a $100 gift certificate for $85, which is a 15% saving, or a $50 gift certificate for $45. So that's a 10% saving. So we're trying to do things to encourage consumers to, or our customers, I guess, to still think about us and still plan. This is not going to go on forever. No. In the next couple of months, we're probably going to be allowed to do tastings. We're going to be allowed to have people in our picnic area again, and people can come then and, for example, use that gift certificate at one of our music nights. Even they could do stuff like that. So
excellent, that's great, and yeah, I think it's really smart to have those kind of incentives in place because people who love wine all the time, and they manage to make it through these hard events, and sometimes you need even more wine.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the biggest thing at this point for everybody in every community is to think about local businesses and support them, and then think about if it's not a local business but it's a business within, like for example within BC or within Canada, and support them. Not to I'm looking for a gift for a friend. I purposely did not go onto Amazon to buy a book. I went to my local bookseller's website and bought a book with a curbside pickup kind of offer, because it's so important with small businesses today to support them.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And I think Well, we are all in this together, and I think everybody doing their little piece to support the local businesses makes all the difference for us to sort of get through this on the other side, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And people, most realize it, but it's the small businesses that actually are buying, the shirts for your ball team and providing the gift certificates for the island auction that raises the money for your community, refurbishing your community hall and all those kinds of things. Those come from the small businesses in your community. So it's really important at that time to think about that, to remember that, and if you're financially able, to continue to support them during this period.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have a wine club up there, and how does that work for consumers?
So we have a wine club. We do shipments 3 times a year. You can choose 4 or 6 bottles each shipment. You can choose. We have a variety of options: whites, reds, or mix, sweets or dries. So people have a bit more control over their club than just receiving something that they've had no control over. Wine club members always receive 10% off on everything that they buy in our shop. And we do a couple of wine club only events. We also do a wine club only wine most years. And then wine club members always get at least once a year something out of my private cellar. So as a winemaker, obviously, I put some wines away that I want to either see how they age, or I think that they're really good and I'd like to keep some. And then from that private cellar, I will send stuff out to the wine club at least once a year. So lots of benefits right now, potentially. And even another benefit is if our events are limited this summer to a certain maximum number, our and we go to ticketing to control number, our wine club will be the first people that will get access to those events.
That's a great perk too.
Yeah.
So it pays to be a member.
Yes, it pays, and membership is free. You can sign up and today, and then you get the benefits all the way till for every club delivery, obviously, but you get the benefits right away.
Awesome. So if you have not tried House of Rose wines before, they have some beautiful wines, hot flash, cool splash, sweet mystery, grapes with benefits. And don't ever hesitate, if you can't find it in a store near you, to ask them to bring it in. And again, if you get the opportunity to go to the winery, it's a beautiful experience, and it's really very friendly, feels like home kind of space when you go there. So it's well worth the trip. And I believe you can be contacted at www.houseofrose.ca. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I just want to add one more thing is about the wine, if it's important to you, that all of our wines are vegan. Yeah. So it's important for some people to know that all of our wines are vegan.
So vegan, sustainably grown, and 100% BC VQA, right?
Right.
Perfect. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I want to wrap this up with one last question, and it's what's in your glass? And that is basically, what BC wine are you drinking that is one of your favorites that is not produced at House of Rose?
Okay, so it would be any dry Riesling. I am a bone dry drinker. Okay. Probably drier than most people would produce for, because many people palate is actually a little bit off dry. But any dry Riesling, I love Rieslings that make you think of, and this is going to sound strange, but that you're licking granite, you're licking slate. I love that minerality in Rieslings, that really strong minerality, and those tend to come from more northern, like around Lillooet, Kamloops, but there are a couple that are produced here locally as well, Rieslings that I really like. St. Hubertus produces a great Riesling, very reasonably priced, lovely Riesling. So yeah, any dry Riesling, I'm happy to have it in my glass.
Oh, I know what to get you for Christmas now. That's good. So thank you again, Laura. I said I know what to get you for Christmas now.
Oh.
Hopefully I'll get to see you before Christmas in person, but yes, take good care of you guys and enjoy the rest of the season. And thanks again for being our guest today.
Oh, you're most welcome. Enjoy. And I'm going to say cheers, everyone, because I actually have a rosé in my glass today.
Perfect. Take care. Thanks again, Aura.
Bye.
And now I'd like to hear from you. If you have a comment or a question for a future guest, please put it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to hit the like or subscribe button right down below. You know you want to. Thanks for joining us today on the BC Wine Show. And until next time, stay well, be kind, and as always, enjoy responsibly.